This is All India Radio. In the program Spotlight, now we bring you a discussion on Water Vision at 2047, an important dimension of the journey of Amritkal. The participants are A.B. Pandya, former chairman, Central Water Commission, and Rajesh Lake, AIR correspondent.
The first All India Annual State Ministers' Conference on Water to deliberate Water Vision at 2047 is being held in Bhopal, Madhya Pradesh on 5th and 6th of January 2023. Prime Minister Narendra Modi said that only the government's efforts towards water conservation are not enough and people's participation is of utmost importance. He said only the government's efforts are not sufficient towards water conservation. A new chapter of Jan Bhagidari needs to begin with multiple stakeholders from all sections of society in the campaigns related to water conservation to involve people, social organizations and civil society as much as possible. It is our pleasure to welcome in our midst Mr. A.B. Pandya to talk about the first All India Annual State Ministers' Conference on Water with the theme Water Vision at 2047. What is the primary objective of this conference, Mr. Pandya?
The primary objective of this conference is to establish a platform on which all issues pertaining to the water-related aspects can be discussed, and various views that are prevailing in different parts of the country and various conditions and constraints that are prevailing in different parts of the country can be assimilated for the specified topics. Because water is a common good and it is held in trust by the governments, so we need to really look at the collective deployment and management of water across the country, have a national vision for it. And for that purpose, this conference will go a long way.
As I understand, the primary objective of this conference is to gather inputs for the India at 2047 and also the 5P vision from the different water stakeholders of the states, water being a state subject, Mr. Pandya, and also to improve engagement and partnerships of the states and to share the initiatives and schemes of the Ministry of Jal Shakti. Would you elaborate on the 5Ps which the Prime Minister talked about, the 5P mantras?
The 5P mantras that he has talked about is about the political will, public financing, partnerships, public participation and persuasion for sustainability. In fact, all these 5Ps apply to the water most than even any other resource that we can think of. Because unless there is a political will, the sharing of the common pool waters cannot really come through. Because the societies have to be molded so that the societies perceive that they are getting their just share. Similarly, the projects and the large-scale deployments require a very heavy amount of public financing. In fact, the public financing for the water sector has been decreasing as a percentage of our GDP over time. So public financing and mobilizing public financing is very much necessary. And without a sense of partnership, you cannot manage the water because everyone is using water. So the public participation in managing the water is a first step towards achieving the India at 2047. And for achieving all this, we also need the persuasion of various stakeholders in the society so that they are able to understand the requirements and accordingly they can either make their demands or adjust the demands in a manner that the water security for the country is achieved. So these 5Ps, all 5Ps are very, very relevant for the water sector.
To take the nation forward as a developed nation by 2047, the Prime Minister is deliberating on the preparations of the action plan and the vision document of India at 2047. How will India's water sector play a significant role in achieving heights India strives to reach in the next crucial years?
Water will be one of the most crucial resource that we will need to manage if we have to make a progress. The amount of water that remains available to the country is on an average constant. You neither can create more water nor you can destroy any water because it's a part of hydrological cycle. The water will also become vulnerable from the climate change and the adaptation requirements points of view. So if we have to become a developed nation, we have to ensure that the fundamental resource, that is water, is available in an equitable manner and in sufficient and in timely quantities all across the various sectors because all sectors will have to grow, then only the country will be able to declare itself as a developed nation. So in every aspect of the future development, water will play a very crucial part in not only mobilizing the resources but also ensuring the integrity and social harmony.
Mr. Pandya, the state ministers of water resources, public health, engineering departments and irrigation from all states and union territories have been invited to this conference, and they are going to prepare a blueprint of water vision at 2047 and also prepare a roadmap to address the water problems of the country. How do you envisage this going forward? What could the blueprint have in it, and how are the water problems going to be solved?
The blueprint will definitely require an appreciation of various demands and various supplies and opportunities that are available for managing the water in an efficient and in an equitable manner. Each of the state is not only having some amount of its internal resources, but is also dependent upon its neighboring states and sometimes even the faraway states in order to make itself water secure. So the cooperation between various states is a very great necessity. Of late, there has been a tendency of the various parties to primarily seek the legal recourses for satisfying their demands or for meeting their perceptions. But then, as has been seen in case of water, these purely legalistic or purely legal means of resolving the various conflicts and various disputes is not adequate. What is most required is the collective dialogue, appreciating each other's conditions, and for that this conference will go a long way in providing a platform where everybody can come together and think and provide their views on this common subject.
There will be 5 thematic sessions. Let's talk about them. The first being the session where the various aspects of water security in water deficit, water surplus and hilly regions will be discussed. Would you elaborate on that?
Water security is a very holistic concept in which we have to ensure that the water is made available to all the required sectors in a timely manner and in an equitable manner, but with a given set of efficiency. Simultaneously, water is also a cause of disasters, and water is also a cause of destruction, especially in those areas where it may be of a surplus nature. So, managing the water in a manner that it doesn't create disasters, and then simultaneously it provides the beneficial use at the time that is needed and in the areas that are needing it. So, that becomes the achieving of the water security. And since it has got multiple dimensions, because there are multiple usages of water and there are multiple sources of water, and all these sources are also random in nature, whereas the usages are continuously growing. So how to bring this resilience, that will be the area where we will have to achieve the water security.
And the second thematic session, Mr. Pandya, is about water use efficiency, including the reuse of wastewater or grey water as we call it, focusing to make the objective of community participation successful at the grassroots levels. Please elaborate on that.
Water use efficiency is a very crucial concept. If we can use the water efficiently, then limited quantity of water can go a long way and can serve larger purposes. So, especially in the urban and in the semi-urban context, the reuse and recycling of the wastewater becomes a very important soft source through which we are able to get more quantity out of the same volume. That means we are able to reuse the water for multiple purposes. In the process, multiple purposes are satisfied with the same quantity of water. So from that angle, the water use efficiency and then the reuse and recycling is very important. India has got almost 4 billion cubic meters of grey water being generated every year. And for this 4 billion cubic meters of grey water, if we allow it to go waste, it not only spoils the environment, but also creates a great shortage at various points of time. So we need to have a reuse of the wastewater and grey water policies firmly in place so that we do not waste the resources that are already mobilized at a great cost.
The third thematic session is about the water governance, which aims to break the silos in the water sector by bringing various states together, facilitated by this center. And that, I think, is a very good move to govern the water.
Water governance is a set of principles that we have to adopt, and everybody has to adopt those principles and then also have to build the strategies which will implement those principles. And there is required to be a consensus amongst various parties in order to understand and in order to appreciate that these principles are to be followed. So this part of the water governance is because of our constitutional federal structure, it is rather loose in our country. And at times some amount of even anarchy occurs because of the looseness of the provisions that we have. So setting up a good, well-principled and equitable water governance regime where various stakeholders can find their voice and also can satisfy their demands, that requires a very deep thought and very deep examination by all the stakeholders concerned. And naturally, the political leaders have to take a lead in establishing and in promulgating those principles. So this conference will definitely go a long way in starting a dialogue on these aspects.
The fourth thematic session, which is extremely important now, considering everyone is talking about the climate change in the country and the measures that need to be taken to reduce the effects of climate change. Would you elaborate, Mr. Pandya, on this thematic session?
Climate change is upon us, and India is in fact in the forefront providing the adaptation and also in the amelioration approaches. Water is a resource which is going to be most severely affected by the climate change. And if the water resources get affected, not only the economy, but even the social fabric of the country can come under threat. In order to make the climate change resilience possible in water infrastructure, we will have to look at their operation and maintenance. We will also have to look at their status and also preserving various storage capacities and various such issues. So the climate change impact on water requires the biggest attention compared to all the other aspects of climate change.
And the fifth session will deal with the water quality, with the problems of water quality of drinking water, surface water and groundwater. So what kind of measures will be, you think, taken so that the water quality could be enhanced?
For enhancing the water quality, we will definitely have to enhance the capacities of the local bodies, because the urban and peri-urban centers are the largest generator of poor quality water. As the industrialization will grow, the wastewater from the industry and also the requirements of the poor quality water by the industry, both are likely to increase. And there, how we manage the quality so that various usages are satisfied, that requires very close monitoring. Currently, we do not have a very strong network and we do not have a very strong approach to the management of the water quality, and that is creating so many ills and so many other hidden effects. So setting up a good water quality management regime in which various aspects of agriculture, urban and rural management are integrated requires a very thorough attention. In fact, the Namami Gange program is also primarily a water quality management program wherein we are required to manage the common pool resources of Ganga basin in a manner that the quality of the water is assured and is available in an assured quality manner so that the agriculture, the life systems do not get affected.
There's also going to be an exhibition where young innovators and startups will showcase new innovations in the water sector. If you could elaborate on that as well.
Well, innovation is at the heart of the progress. There are multiple approaches that keeps on getting tried. And making the society aware about the successful approaches, especially in the water sector, is very important because the innovation is very much necessary in the areas of the water quality management, also in the water use efficiency, and also in various other data and other information collection measures, so that we are in a position to provide newer solutions to the different challenges that we are encountering.
Thank you so much, Mr. Pandya, for being with us and discussing with us various aspects of the first India Annual State Ministers Conference on water.
You were listening to a discussion on Water Vision at 2047, an important dimension of the journey of Amritkal. The participants were A.B. Pandya, former Chairman, Central Water Commission, and Rajesh Lake, AIR correspondent. This program was produced and presented by the News Services Division of All India Radio. You can listen to it on our mobile app, News on AIR. This program is also available on our YouTube channel, News on AIR Official. You may email your opinion about this program at airnsdtalks@gmail.com.